Thank you, Minister, and thank you for your comments. As a man, I believe that I have an important role as well in regards to providing leadership and changing entrenched cultural norms. And even kind of going back to the start of the pandemic, my wife stepped up and she went to work with the homeless in our city and vulnerable communities. And it was important as a man that I was there to help encourage and support and be there and my role within our family. And we have such an important role as men in our communities to stand up and show leadership in this area. So thank you for that, and thank you for your leadership on this file. Thank you, Minister Isaac, Minister Sawney, Parliamentary Secretary Lovely, for all of your leadership as well in our province and the example that you set of women in leadership for my kids and for all kids. Thank you for your efforts. At the start of the pandemic, the Premier reached out to me and he asked me, he reached out because he was concerned and about the impact that this pandemic was going to have on our community, understanding that it would cause stress in families, it would create need where there wasn't before, it would exacerbate need that was already there. And he asked, how do we help encourage volunteerism and civil society action to be able to address that need? My advice at that time was that the government should not take over, but government should work towards strengthening what's already taking place. And that was the good news, because there was so much already happening in our community, and it didn't take much to look around and see that. And in my own community, I saw the Calgary Seniors Resource Society stepping up to help connect with seniors that were living in isolation, to help distribute food and medication. I saw the Youth Empowerment Society step up to collect laptops and technology to help get that to kids that were without technology and now needing to learn and study from home. Compassion Ministries in my community through Center Street Church distributed 100,000 food hampers throughout the pandemic. I saw community associations actively looking towards meeting or finding need in their community and working towards meeting that need. I even heard from one of my constituents about how she cooked a hot meal every day and delivered it to a senior that was living in isolation next door. And so it was good news, because civil society was already doing what they do best. And but of course, there was also many civil society partners that struggled throughout the pandemic. And that's why I think the formation of this council, although it was set to happen prior, but the fact that it took place at the start of this pandemic, I think, was timely, because their advice in helping getting through the pandemic and meeting need throughout the pandemic has been invaluable to this government. And so I'm so very thankful for the council and their work. But their advice is also going to be absolutely critical as we move forward for recovery, and making sure that recovery means is going to be there for everyone, that we can all recover together. Prior to politics, many of you know I worked with many volunteer organizations, including the Mustard Seed, and I've seen firsthand that lives can be changed when neighbors rise up together to tackle challenges that so many in our community are faced. And so I want to personally thank our Premier Jason Kenney, for his vision in putting this council together, and for listening to our many great not-for-profit and civil society partners. Government's role, again, is not to take over that of community, but it does have a very important role. And I believe this report outlines a number of recommendations that government can take to make sure that we can aid in the efforts that our civil society partners are taking in our communities to address issues like women's economic recovery. The pandemic reminded us of the important role that we all have as a community in helping our neighbors. And I'm thrilled to be part of a government caucus that is looking for innovative ways to partner with civil society. So thank you again to the ministers, to the Premier, but I especially want to thank the council, starting with the leadership of Joel Christie, the council chair. Being able to work with this council over the last couple of years and hear their passion and their heart and their ideas and what they've invested, not only in this report, but in Alberta and in Albertans. I'm very, very thankful for them and what they've done, and especially thankful for the board chair. And so with that, I'd like to be able to invite Joel Christie, the board chair, up to give some comments.